Hey folks, and welcome to the last voyage of the Whales Whiskers. Hope you all are having a great Tuesday night. This is our Tabletop Tuesday group, and we are super happy and stoked to have you here to join in our adventure. If this is the first time on your channel, we do run it 100% for charity. If you would like to donate to what we donate to, that's Satchel's Last Resort, you can click on the link down below. It'll take you right to their site, right to their donation page. They are a 501c for all of those people deep in tax time. And so they will send you all the receipts and documentation you might need to write off any donation you might give. So please support them like we do. And we've got a lot to get through tonight. So let's go around and meet our cast. We will start off. Yep, all my server training paying off. We will start off with Kuma.
Hi, hello, yes, I'm Kuma, and I play Kato, our brass dragonborn life cleric.
Next up, we have Bird.
Bird, I'm playing Baldir the Wanderer, our Loxodon Storm Sorcerer.
Next up, we have Meta.
Hi, I'm Metazella. I'm going to be playing as Queta, our Dwarven Eldritch Knight fighter. Yeah, there it is. I'll get it faster next time.
No worries. Next up, we've got Grant.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Grant, and I play Howron, our Drow Circle of Stars druid.
Next up, we have Ace.
Hi, y'all. I'm Ace. I play the definitely not dead Duron.
Definitely. And
Definitely
last but
not
not least, we have Soul.
So, I play Otrek, the Lizard Folk Artificer, but I'm starting to notice a theme here with Duron. The definitely not evil, the definitely not dead, the definitely not going to betray the party. This is not filling me with a lot of confidence.
I mean, I'd chalk it up there with that you're definitely not a sausage.
I mean, that's very debatable. At this point, I think the only thing that Otrek is a sausage.
And I'm Tall Squall. I am your DM, and we'll be taking you through our adventures. So, last time on Whales Whiskers, our group, after resting at the base of the Broken Blade Falls, traversed via flight up the falls and across the Valley of Sorrow. This huge valley that took them the whole day traverse, being guided by Duron's amulet towards Volcluron. Once they traversed their way down this valley, they turned the corner to find in front of them, ooh, look, I'm doing like a scene change and a music change. They found themselves in Volcluron. This sort of clearing at the end of the valley where they found this giant primordial platinum dragon skeleton that had curled into sort of this fetal position, obviously in great pain and great sorrow. As they approached it, sort of reconciling these feelings of sorrow that they had been feeling during the whole day traversing the valley, they were confronted by a dark, shadowy specter of a ebony dragonborn. And upon a shout to them to stay away, they discovered that they were, in fact, a banshee, or banshee-like, immediately taking Duron down to 0 hit points and knocking Halran out of his wild shape, falling to the ground where the barrels plural, holding the corrupted shard of the sky fell and cracked open. The inner lead liner seemed to somewhat still be intact. They began an encounter with this dark figure in the material plane, while in the ethereal plane, Duron found the spirit of this dragon, this platinum dragon, encased in crystal, lost in their own sorrow. After very amazing scenes and roleplay and rolls, and a lot of luck with the order of actions throughout it, they were able to come to an accord, both with the Banshee in the material plane and with this ghost dragon in the ethereal plane. Where we left off was just as Duron, after sort of astral projecting out of his body, walked back and gasped back to life on the material plane. As that silence and the sound of the sheathing of this dark specter sword fills the air, you all hear a crackling around the barrel containing the shard. For my high perception folks, Baldir and Halran, you can see some sort of mechanical device, gears switching and turning, locking into place, and there's a huge flash of light and a ball of sparks as you see Otrek appear out of this sparking ball of energy.
Okay, so the barrel broke and activated the recall?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. That's horrible.
So the lead lining seems to still be intact, but the damage activated your recall.
Fantastic. So, in prior episodes, I had been carving a number of glyphs and wardings on there. We'd worked on some stuff behind the scenes to make sure that things are safe and secure, and yeah, this is not good. This is very much not good. So, the artificer of the group is definitely going to be taking a look at the barrel. The lead is intact, but the external sheathing is forked.
Cracked. You can see those same sort of fullerettes of salt have shattered and broken all around. This is your first view of this place. So, you know, this huge clearing, you see this, the party sort of gathered around in the last seconds of combat, as in the time the recall took to take place. This only lasted for about 3 rounds. So 15, 20 seconds as all of this was unfolding and rapidly materializing into this parlay, and you see Duron on the ground just gasping for his first breaths.
Okay, that is all great. I definitely appreciate that. Otrek will look around a little bit shocked, a little bit awed, definitely horrified. What? Let me get in character voice. What is this? And he gestures dramatically at the splintering cask of containment.
He also doesn't mean any harm, Queta says to the Dragonborn. Quickly.
A scaly claw will point at Queta. I'm not sure. I'm not.
Please don't listen to what he has to say at the moment. I assure you that he is with us and he means no harm.
Baldir will turn to Otrek just real quick and looking at the kind of broken cask. A mistake. An accident. Can you do anything?
These sorts of accidents cannot happen. It will kill all of us at best. I don't know what I can do. Can I do anything about this? Like,
speaking of being dead. Ouch.
Yeah, Kato is the beginning of combat had been running from the very back and is now heavily breathing as he's continuing to run towards Duron, who's now breathing about as heavily as him.
Yeah, Biriana is running that direction as well, sort of skids to a halt seeing Otrek appear out of nowhere. She looks to the party, having sort of seen what's been going on. puts her hands up. We mean no further harm, but we need to take care of this. And she looks to Otrek.
I don't really have a contingency for this. I just didn't want to not be here when it was broken. Crappity crap.
She just go ahead and do me a Arcana check to see if you can assess the damage.
Right.
While he's doing that, can I look around for Valaris?
You do not see Valaris.
Is it... What's the Dragonborn doing?
The Dragonborn is looking around and definitely seems to have tensed back up, having heard Otrex talking about this cask brings only death. And is not redrawing his sword, but seems to not be quite as convinced as he was before that he shouldn't kill you all.
Great, fantastic, love it. This is why I can't take you guys anywhere or leave you alone.
They had one job.
They had one job. Yeah, I mean they had a lot of jobs. They failed them all. It was amazing. No.
We
Go
got
ahead.
here.
Queta.
Queta just shouts from behind. She's still facing the Dragonborn. Is something wrong? What is wrong with the barrel? I heard it fall to the ground. Is it still safe?
Still evil.
The lead does seem to have some cracks in it. It is leaking, but certainly not in the the horrible way it done before. I'd say you're at about probably a 50% containment level compared to it being just out in the open, and the salt and the between the wood and the salt, it seemed as though it was diffusing some of the corruption that just sort of seeps off of this. And it's not been fully breached, the containment, but it certainly is not what it was.
I think I do have a possible contingency. Give me just a second to pull up my Otrex Splendorous Collection file.
Why would you bring such a thing here? The Spectre sort of says to all those in front of him.
It's a very long story, if you're willing to hear us out.
Make it short.
Otrek will definitely nod with that and nervously lick his eyeball as he grabs into his pouches. I've got holy water that I'm going to pour on it because I know that water has a ablative effect, and having holy water, maybe that can buy us some time. I've got 2 flasks. That's what I got.
I've got some as well, and I can make any water holy with ceremony if we need.
Sure.
We are meeting a primordial, or we are meeting a dragon.
A primordial dragon is coming to my territory. Neither announced or with permission. This is...
He is...
Sort of continue.
We are exchanging this artifact for the life of an innocent individual that we need to get back.
Show me. And you feel a probing on your mind. Do you resist?
No. Kato's terrified of this thing. He's not going to fight back.
Yeah. You see basically literally all but day by day out. It's like your life passing before your eyes since meeting Fitz. And the concern you had, you sitting at night in the dream spell to try to comfort Fitz. And you see his shoulders, Savarin's shoulders relax. Your cause is true. Be at ease.
Oh, thank the stars.
Are you Savarin?
I am. And you're alive. That's unexpected.
Yes, lots of unexpected things today. Forgive my curtness, but why are you here?
I will protect her always.
I believe Valaris has made peace with her passing and is waiting for you.
How do you know that name? There's a sort of I wouldn't say anger as much as just an intensity.
Weda is lightly interposing herself between Duron and Savarin as they continue to talk, just in case.
I don't really know what happened when you killed me, but I found myself trapped amongst... I don't know where I was, but I was with Valaris, and we spoke at length.
She lingers.
She does, or did. I don't know what brought me back. But I know that she is waiting for you.
I have always hoped that she had passed. It does not end my duty to what is left of her. But if she lingers, even for us to speak for a moment, we see just a little, he doesn't finish the sentence, just a little tease of hope across this sort of spectral face.
I have no more connection to wherever I was. But I would not be surprised if you two still are connected. She could feel your presence here.
He looks, starts to walk towards you, sort of pushing Queda a little bit out of the way.
I could just move.
I'm like just barely sitting up on the ground.
We'll say that the heal hasn't come yet.
Okay.
And as you're sitting sort of at that 0 hit points, but conscious. He looks in your eyes. Show me. And begins to reach out towards you.
I won't resist it.
And you relive those moments with Valaris, and you hear a gasp. But it doesn't seem to just be from Savarin. It is though your telepathic connection to Valaris is still intact.
Do you hear her? And I don't know if Duron can do this, but he will, like, say that with his own, like, trying to bridge a gap to Savarin with his telepathy.
Roll me a willpower charisma check with advantage.
Oh, I'm exhausted. Proficiency or no?
Yes, proficiency.
Okay.
So I guess yeah, saving throw. So you would still have you would have true advantage because it's not a check.
Well then. Okay, that's great. That is and 22, 26.
26. On a 26, not without discomfort, you feel your perception almost tear in two as you are juxtaposed between the ethereal plane and this plane, connecting Valaris and Savarin through your mind, and you witness as the ghost dragon kind of sort of curled back into themselves, lifts their head, and Savarin lifts his, and you can see that their eyes meet, and they see each other through your connection. You hear Valaris. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Savarin, never be sorry. Whether apart or together, what is between the two of us will never change. No matter our form, or he sort of looks around, or what plane we happen to exist on. My feelings will never change. And you see the last of those crystals that had encased Valaris sort of break away. And this massive primordial ghost dragon and this spirit just come together, and he sort of cradles her head, and they sort of put their two foreheads against each other. And while it was just for a moment, you sort of go to involuntary rub your face and your nose. Your nose is bleeding from the psychic strain. And the connection breaks. And you find yourself with Savarin, but back on the material plane. And Katie, you would see the blood beginning to come out and could rush over to heal Duron so he doesn't go unconscious again.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Queta and the Echo will both kind of try and prop him up, first of all, so that he's still standing.
Yeah, that heal is a 37, so go ahead and give a little boost.
Nothing bad happened in there, did it?
I think not. I would tell you if something bad were happening.
I'm sure it would be visible if that were the case.
What the rest of you? What are you all up to?
Savarin is still there, right?
Savarin is still there. He does not... He seems sort of preoccupied and sort of has turned now and is looking towards the skull and the skeleton. Really not paying attention to you all that much. Seems to be lost a bit in emotion and thought.
I suppose it's best to just leave that one alone. Queta then turns her attention toward the barrel. It's not like open, the shard isn't like exposed,
No.
is it?
The lead is still intact. It just seems to have, Otrek probably hasn't convened this yet, but it seems to have cracked somewhat. So there's sort of like hairline fractures in the lead, but it's not, cracked open. It's not cracked open like an egg. The barrel part did, but the lead inner lining is still intact.
All right. So Queta is going to turn her attention to that and just start casting mending on it.
Okay.
So there's a part of me that feels really, really dumb right now. Thank you, Meta.
Yeah, I was like, I was like thinking in the back of my mind, I could just mending that.
Well played, fair play. I'm going to be pouring holy water on it, though.
You do
that's
find
fine. She'll just be like,
it's slow going, like slower than your normal mending would be. It seems as though the corruption almost seems to be willing and trying to claw its way out.
I mean, just with that kind of knowledge, I mean, I'm sure Baldir, the size that he is, has probably caused an issue or two on the ship and had to mend his own problems. So if two folks working at the same time can, I don't know, just fight back a little bit better against this corruption, then maybe I'll toss in as well, just helping Queta.
I wouldn't take any of our eyes off this barrel. You can keep pouring holy water on it if you want.
Only got so much.
The holy water does not, from any way that you can sense, seem to be helping or hindering.
That's what I got. I mean, we're gonna give it a shot.
Try this. And he holds up his flask or wineskin of river water.
Mm-hmm. And as you pass it over and begin to pour it, the two of you working on mending the river water, this water spilling down over Valaris' skull and becoming the source of the Broken Blade Falls, does seem to counter the resistance somewhat.
Well, damn. Okay.
Biriana looks at Kato. There's still the matter, she sort of whispers, the matter of the soul scale.
yeah, at the same kind of volume while Savarin is distracted. How would we get that?
Well, I don't think taking it without permission would be advisable, but she sort of points. Just from my studies, I know soul scales form over the heart. And she sort of looks pointedly at the skeleton that is clutched around its own chest with its foreclaws, protecting its heart.
I can try speaking to him when he is no longer preoccupied. He showed an interest in us helping preserve her memories. So this is how we would be able to do that.
I mean, the Shimmering Grove is meant to be eternal and to tell the stories of dragons. I would be happy to do it myself, but I don't seem to have as light a touch as some others, but I believe in any of you. And she's sort of anyone who's close enough to hear. Baldir, having you are very familiar with the Shimmering Grove from leading people on pilgrimages there. She sort of, her eyes pass over Duron. And probably Otrek as well. But I believe in that you could plead our case. And so whoever would be undertaking this, you would have a D10 bardic inspiration from Biriana.
What would this be rolled with?
Depends on what your tact is going to be.
You could just lie to the person that we've been trying to get on our side the whole time.
Ron, go back to dying.
I will say, Biriana passed over Duron because of their relationship. Certainly Duron potentially, the DC is going to be all about how this story goes. And certainly Duron potentially have an in. But Biriana don't know that. I mean, anyone, however y'all want to approach this.
I have an idea, but I'm also more than happy to let somebody else take this one.
Same. I think Baldur would be great at it. This could be a really cool character moment for him.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do, what's the opposite of volunteering? I'm gonna do that for Toledo.
You continue looking down at the barrel.
I mean, if she's fiddling with like the water, she might actually want to take a look at more at the water than.
Yeah, you could go make yourself very interested in the water and some of all these sort of small tributaries that then come together to form the river once they get out of this sort of clearing space, much like the pitcher.
I'm just gonna freeze the corrupted water as it pours away from this shard, so it doesn't
contaminate anything.
Go anywhere.
Cool. So yeah, you sort of see the lead barrel slowly getting a sort of ice ring around it of the water that's been corrupted from being poured over the barrel.
And Halron is going to take himself, out of the running for this potential task because he fell like 80 feet out of the air and has a messed up leg to tend to at this point.
So, Baldir.
All right. Sorry, remind me, is he still kind of staring like wistfully at the
yeah,
skull?
sort of. I mean, Duron would know basically sort of that brief moment of contact that they had, almost sort of wistfully now looking at the skull of her remains.
Okay. Then I think Baldir will approach, I guess, kind of the one who took the point on talking to him initially to try to calm him down and hammer home the aspect of remembering her, and yeah, we'll very gently and subtly approach, trying to give as much time as possible, as much room to breathe as possible here, before speaking up firmly but not loudly.
Being a Luxodon, I would say your approach, while as stealthy as Baldir as possible. Yeah,
I'm not sneaking. I'm just, I'm not sprinting up there, and I'm not elephant tiptoeing up there.
So I think, as you approach, you see him sort of sigh, and not in a "why are you bothering me," but just a "I need to move forward from this moment." You have a high passive intuition, so you'd sort of pick up. It's not a "don't bug me." It's a little distract me, help me get out of this moment.
So yeah, he'll approach and say, "Memory. What would you like this memory to be? Would you like a legend? A tale of defending an honor to death? Would you like a remembrance of how they died? Would you like a legend? A story of who they were? What memory would you choose of them?"
He sort of looks around and he goes, "Our lives were all of those things. We began as two dragons soaring over a new world. A world that did not even know itself. We barely had forms ourselves. It was a tale of discovery, and adventure, and of love, and beauty, and then of longing. One for one thing." He sort of looks up to the skeleton, and one for the other. And a compromise, and then a tragedy, turned to opportunity, turned to a story that neither of us thought we would experience it in the ways that we couldn't have even dreamed about until it happened. And then regret. The grains of an hourglass running out on one, while the other remaining eternal. And then, I guess where we are now and have been for millennia. How does one capture a life? Much less two.
Takes a deep breath. My friends, I would sit here for days on end, hear every word you tell me of all these amazing and dire moments. And I would promise you to tell them, to share them, to spread them. But I am not eternal. I'm a mere being placed on this world for as lucky as I'm allowed to be before I am reclaimed. When I came to this world, it took me quite some time, but I washed upon the shores somewhere, the shimmering grove, and he looks for any acknowledgement, understanding. Don't know if it's a concept that exists or has always existed, or even if he knows what this is.
I would say that the legend of the Grove has permeated most of primordial dragon knowledge, just as the ritual that they wanted to undergo to transform themselves into Dragonborn. So he looks at you and says, Jin Sarat's dream. Did they succeed?
He gives his little bald ear smirk. The dream made real, friend. Tales, moments, memories, legends, everlasting. Please. You soared once together. I ask, I invite you now to soar once again on the winds of whispers and legends for all time.
You can see he's moved. Sort of gives a nod. Roll me a persuasion check with advantage. And you have a D10. On a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Ooh.
There's a moment where you can almost see it cross his face that it sounds like it couldn't be true. But he sort of looks into your eyes and opens his mind to the message. And he nods. And he sort of places this spectral hand sort of on the center of your back. And begins to walk you towards the skeleton. As you approach, it begins to loom larger and larger. Again, this dragon almost as big as Jin Sarat, which was as large as the ship. Until it's just sort of almost like standing next to the whale's whiskers, just sort of towering over you, the rib cage and the giant hands crossed in front of its chest. As you approach, go ahead and roll me a perception check. Ooh, on a 19. As you approach and sort of are taking it all in, and just this sort of solemn moment coming over you, and you notice again the skull and the waterfall sort of flowing down off of it, and you see the eye sockets, and you can see that one of them, while you're not familiar with dragon skeletons, you're familiar with many animals, there sort of is the sort of thin bony structure that sort of would have been behind the orb of the eye sort of that creates the backside of the eye on one. But on the one where the main waterfall is flowing over, you see that there's just darkness, and that there seems to be, I mean, you're able to see inside the skull and sort of the darkness and opening behind the waterfall. But he continues to guide you forward until you are sort of there in front of these two claws over the chest. Take our story to Jin Sarat. And he sort of gives you leave of the skeleton.
Yeah, we'll claim what we need to here, delicately and respectfully.
So as you're tall enough as being a Luxodon, if someone else would have had to actually sort of all but climb, but you are able to reach up, and as you sort of peer, will keep your same perception, you're able to sort of peer between the two hands and what would have been the sort of the rib cage. And there is a little bit of a hollow there, and you can see shining there, like probably big as both your hands. I mean, it's pretty big, the scale. You can see a shining scale there.
Okay. Like I said, I'll do my best to dexterously reach in and claim it.
You sort of reach underneath, gingerly and carefully, and able to get your hands in. Again, with it being as large as it is, even a Luxodon hand seems small. You pull out the soul scale, and you see a platinum scale with a second ebony scale that has merged into it.
Is his figure still here?
His figure is still there. You get the feeling, for as long as platinum bones take to degrade, he will not leave his post.
Baldir will look at the scale. Together. And one day again. Thank you. I don't know what it will take or how long it will take, but I do wish you peace. Bow his head a bit.
I thank you. You have brought a great gift to us. You have a great purpose. He sort of looks to the sky and approaches. I will take my leave, and you are welcome to all the gifts that Volkuran may bestow upon you. Roll a perception check with advantage.
Okay. Interessant.
That was supposed to be comforting, but then all of a sudden you doing that makes me not feel good about this at all.
On a 12, with your earlier roll, it's enough. You can see that he looks towards the eye behind the waterfall.
Yeah, I was planning on heading back there, but I didn't want to make a detour on the way to. Also, I mean, apologies if this is too above the table. Should I rally the crew and move forward in here, or?
You see the specter disappear. It seems as though you all have free reign. He has taken his leave.
All right. Then I guess the lot of you will, a few moments will pass and you will see Baldir emerge with the merge scale. And he'll kind of hold it up. Say, for now, he is at rest. There is more to see. Please, when you all are ready.
You see Biriana take out a intricately decorated box that seems to be made of brass, dragon skin, and scale. And she opens the box, sort of off, showing it to Baldir, holding it out. This is to return the scale to Jinsarat.
Place it in.
And she closes it, and you see it whoosh, and disappear. It's one of my favorite items, box of returning. The night, you see, as you are there, the moon, probably about another hour or two before it would be blocked by the mountains. Still, the whole place sort of in an ethereal light, as there are no signs of Severin or Valaris. What do y'all want to do?
Otrek is definitely going to commandeer Queda and make sure that this barrel is secure and safe before we do anything else. If Queda wants to move on without, then there's going to be a little bit of conflict, but I don't know that that's really like a big thing we need to focus on. That's my character goal. Beyond that, I got summoned by a broken barrel. That's my focus.
With the help of the river water, I would say that in the time it took for Baldir to solemnly go recover the scale, that the barrel is the lead barrel has now been fully mended, which brings you up to almost 75%. I mean, without literally, getting a load of salt and building a whole nother barrel. I mean, you're as stable as you're going to be able to get without your workshop.
Okay, then yeah. After that, we will definitely be rolling in deep. I did take the opportunity on the downtime to change some of my spells around that I had prepared just as a heads up, because I don't have the materials for some of them, so I did change them around. I just wanted to let you know, Squall, and also I want to let everyone else know. Revivify is no longer on the table. Don't rely on me for that. I don't got it. So if you go sticking your head in a dragon's eye hole and it just snaps it off, I can't help you.
But you're not allowed to die twice in one day, so I'm allowed to go first, right?
Technically, you died last round. Last session. So what would y'all like to do?
I think in the downtime of all this, Queda is just gonna grab her painter supplies and just start painting.
Okay.
The freaking everything, because it's beautiful.
It is breathtaking, and the sadness almost brings another a whole nother level, to it. There is, your heart is kind of full of the emotion of it just not being. I mean, it'd be epic, just the skeleton, but then sort of that sorrow and the story of these two, lends itself to your interpretation of the space. So, y'all hang in, rest in, head in.
I'd love to clear this exhaustion level off, so I was hoping to rest.
But be a long rest to clear exhaustions.
I don't have anything to help with that. And honestly, my lizard self is well rested. I'm ready to rock. So I would definitely be interested in the eye hole. My vote's for pushing on.
Can
Everything's peaceful here. Duron's
please
alive.
take a short rest?
I mean, I would say basically, Duron, over the course of, just again to speed things up, over the course of getting the soul scale and then mending this, if you've basically just been sitting there, which you pretty much have since we haven't done any interaction with you, I would say that you could gain the benefits of a short rest during that time.
Sweet.
And Halron, noticing Kata's debilitating condition, can also cast Greater Restoration, and we can just keep going.
Just because they're short doesn't mean it's debilitating.
Yeah.
I don't have enlarge, but I can help with the exhaustion.
Yeah.
I got that.
There we go.
Actually, anyone else have exhaustion? Duron does. I would say during your short rest, Biriana would come over and recognize that you were good for something. We'll cast Greater Restoration on you as well.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Jeez. Good for something.
6, so we're all cleared?
Come on,
I
you and Biriana have got
unless
some
somebody
serious
else snags
history.
me, but I'm also good to move on. Baldir's gonna want to keep things going. So, if someone can clear it, cool. If not, I'm solid housing it for right now.
Yeah, I mean, it would not.
I got 2. You're
Tell you what, let's have Biriana do it, just because I'd rather have my NPC not be, it means that I don't have to cast 5th level spells. So Biriana.
Yeah, no, I'd be thrilled to keep a slot for that.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. That's what I was worried about, is draining you too deep. So.
Yeah,
cool.
no. You all decided to bring Biriana, and she hasn't been much help so far. So let's at least make it pretend like she's a level 14 bard.
So, above table, because I don't remember, did Biriana ever mention how Jin Sarat was going to get the scale?
She put it in the box. That was Jin Sarat's box. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. To return it.
Sorry, I am feels.
Yeah, sorry. No, the bronze scaled box was Jin
Truly, because I
Sarat's.
was like, oh no, this guy is asking Baldir with going back. Oh no, that's a different thing.
Nope. Nope, she had Jin Sarat knew. She probably revealed some things to Jin Sarat that wasn't revealed to the crew, and so he provided the box.
See, I'm not the only one that keeps secrets, guys.
This is a game of secrets, man.
Trick doesn't have any secrets.
I have no secrets.
Fine, it's just me and Biriana.
No one's asked
whatever.
I wear a hat. I don't know who you are.
So actually, we're right at 9 o'clock. Do we want to go ahead and take our break real quick, just so that we can roll on through, seeing as it seems like this might be a good time to do that? Because there's, again, other stuff. I mean, there happens to be, someone's patron on the way. So tell you what, let's take our quick break, and we will be back in 5 minutes and go explore what's behind the eye of this
Bonus cat.
platinum dragon. Bonus cat, and we'll see you all in just a few.
Let's do it.
And we're back. The party, having recovered the soul scale that was promised to Jin Surat by Biriana, is now headed towards the skull of this primordial dragon, the eye of which lies behind a waterfall. And as in every good D&D or RPG, if you don't look behind the waterfall, I'm just saying.
Right?
So, having been spotted by that 19 perception.
Just real quick, this is very important for me to say. If you put a waterfall in your game and don't put anything behind it, what's the point? Come
Dude,
on.
literally,
It has
I've
to be
played enough games
something.
with you. I knew you would hate me if I didn't put something behind the waterfall.
Oh, no.
I'm the monster that does that.
No. This is why I won't play games with you as the DM. That's the specific one.
So, let's catch up with the party as Baldir, I'm going to say leads them, as you know the way, and we're kind of invited the party back towards the skull of this platinum dragon, Valaris.
Very carefully going to make his way forward as he explains that something left, something back here that we were told to embrace all the treasures that we would be bestowed here. Everything left, so still keep an eye out. Hard to tell, else may remain.
So are we just going to leave this here? And Howron gestures to the barrel.
Biriana's there?
Ooh.
So is
I can call forth an elemental.
I'm a fan of that idea. I'm a big fan of that idea. I would normally have Scud carry it, but
I am also happy to telepathy for the 10 minutes I have it, but anything beyond that is kind of a...
How long does the elemental last?
It's an hour, so that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
dope.
Fair enough. Howron will pull out his gold inlaid vial with its small pebble in it, spend a moment chanting, and summon an earth elemental that, with its big bouldery arms, picks up the barrel and walks a healthy distance behind the party with the only 70% contained
Okay.
barrel.
So, this elemental sort of forms up out of the mud around the river and the rock, and sort of takes up this barrel and kind of doesn't really stomp, kind of glides, but above ground behind the party as you approach. The elemental even seeming to be somewhat, earth elementals are kind of known to be kind of ragey. It seems almost sort of placid as it is following along behind the party.
How deep is this cave?
So as you approach the skull, this skull is in its totality, the way it's sort of tilted, the total skull is about probably 40-50 feet tall, the eye being about 30 feet up, and the actual sort of orb, as you get closer behind the waterfall, it's a good 10-foot circular opening, a little jagged on the edges, not quite exactly a circle, but it is it's a fairly good doorway sized.
And when we scamper up to it,
So you would have...
how deep is the cavity, I guess?
So the cavity, I mean, it sort of drops back into it, probably another 10 or 15 feet. I mean, it's not completely vertical. I mean, it is sort of, much like a dragon or any other sort of raptor or dinosaur, sort of is inset back behind some of these other protruding bones. So probably about, I wouldn't say a full 10 feet in, I would say probably about 5 to 8 feet. I would say that this skull does have water flowing over top of it. And you just sort of see through the breaks in the waterfall the darkness behind it. So you will need to sort of somehow navigate up to sort of pass through to the interior of this skull.
I have an idea. And I'll cast Control Water.
Okay.
What a useful spell that has been in this game.
You've done something else.
Wow.
So yeah, how are you manipulating the water?
Oh yeah, simply just making it part over the eye.
Yeah.
So
you can see where there once was sort of the majority of the flow going over the eye. It sort of parts and begins to flow around the ridges a little bit wider around the face, sort of flowing more down the ridges of the nose as it parts and you see the eye in front of you. The bone is still going to be a little bit on the slick side, but it's not going to have actual moving water flowing over it. So it's about a 20-foot clamber to get yourselves up.
If we allow the elemental to overtake the party, it could probably form a suitable ramp.
Certainly. I mean, they are a large creature, so I mean.
The elemental spirit is actually medium.
Oh, is he medium? Okay.
Yeah. But I imagine it's pretty tall. Gets us at least most of the way there.
Yeah, certainly could help.
we could also make the water flow up instead of down.
Reverse water slide it. I'm here for it.
Swim up.
How high is the climb up?
About 20 feet.
About 20 feet. Queta just grabs her rope of climbing and prepares to climb up.
There you go. You command it to sort of go up. It finds sort of a little bone spur to attach onto. And yeah, certainly with that, roll me some just some dexterity checks just to see, but it's only going to be about the amount of time that it takes unless you nat one it. And I said that out loud just because I know saying it maybe will make it happen.
If you dare.
Just straight dexterity?
Yep, straight dexterity check.
Just for everyone?
Nice.
This is for everyone. If you're going up, if you're going in the eye.
Oh my god.
I don't know if it matters, but I do have some gloves of climbing with me if they help.
That would give you advantage.
Okay, let's try it again.
Wow.
Hell
Wow, y'all.
yeah.
Could someone stay outside and flag down Shimandala if they fly over?
I'm sure they will make their presence known.
But we don't need anyone to mark the spot for them or any...
They did ask us to come here. Are you looking for a reason to stay behind?
Of course not. And he'll start walking to...
I got a 20, a 14, by the way.
Okay. Viriana sort of looks at Cato and goes, and actually, with the same care that you took her hand when she was overcome, this thing sort of holds your hand and guides you forward. We've got this. So.
Yes.
Baldir, are you going first as you saw this, or is someone else leading the way? Also, it would be very dark in here, so if
I'm offering to lead the way, but I also know how kind of the physics work. If Big Boy goes first and then has a little slippy do, and kind of the Scooby-Doo hijinks that could happen on the way down. So if any are more nimble, better climbers lead the way, that's yeah.
Tell you what, go for it.
I have probably the best sight in the darkness. As loath as I am to suggest that Duron goes first again.
You do tend to volunteer yourself to go into the dark places first, which generally leads to you having less bones.
Kato is
I had
going
more bones last time.
to touch his clothing, and it's going to light up.
Okay. So we can do this either Duron, or we can go by your dexterity, since we said that was about how quickly you were able to go up, and so we would have, which was great because it would be Biriana went first, dragging Kato.
Kato says no. Sam says yes.
So Biriana sort of says, "We've got this," and then you suddenly realize that she's leading you first. And
Wait. We're
it'll
going
be fine,
in
it'll be fine.
first?
Just
We
light
don't
up your
want
cloak,
someone
light
with
up your
the
cloak. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
So I'll be the target.
I'll just keep
They're
pushing
gonna see
Kato from
this
behind.
Yep,
They're gonna see
until
this nice, beautiful, very finely crafted tunic, and think, lovely.
That's what your closet's for.
It looks great. It will taste great.
And as you say that, you sort of come to the ridge of the eye, and your cloak lights up the space in between. And it's all sort of reflects back at you. It's almost like the inside of the skull is this platinum mirror. Still with the, as Kato would know from your medical training, all of the normal features of the inside of a dragon's skull. But it's almost like they are polished metal, sort of burnished in their luster. And as you look, you can see sort of across the center ridge where some of the water of the waterfall sort of through capillary action, sort of traces its way across the top inside of the skull until reaching the crown. And you hear drip, very long intervals. Trip. And as you look down, you see a pool that looks like molten platinum sitting inside at the base of the skull. Kind of looks almost like liquid mercury that's been filled by these drips from the water that has made it in from both the waterfalls and then slowly, ever so slowly, made its way across the inside of the skull and then drips down.
If it was any other creature, he would take a vial of it, but that's too blasphemous. Yeah, so disrespectful. Yeah, science brain doesn't win on that one.
The rest of you arrive and see the same. You have to sort of jog a little bit for position, but everyone is able to come in, and you see this space lit up by Kato's cloak or through your dark vision. There is a peace in here in Duron where before it was whenever you either touched or submerged in the water that those aches in your bones would disappear. Within this space, without even reaching out, you feel better.
I like it here.
I would hope we're not going to stay too long in here. It's a bit, dangerous.
You sound like me.
Well, the climb up here was difficult, she says, using her rope, which automatically, like, tugs her up.
I wonder how deep that goes.
Can Queta do an Arcana check on, like, the pool of molten platinum?
Yeah. It's definitely magical. I mean, you've never experienced anything like this before. True.
So what is it that you feel when you're in here? You said you were feeling better, Duron. Not weirded out by your new legs? Not weirded out by your strange bones?
I feel less achy. Like being in the water, but 1,000 times better. Oh. I just had a terrible idea.
Where are you being pulled to now?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't looked at my amulet in a while.
Roll a willpower check. And it would be a check, not a save.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's a dirty 20.
You are being pulled both to the pool and away from it.
I'm being pulled that way.
Is that an attempt at a joke?
Me?
It's very funny if it is. I just didn't laugh. I wasn't ready for that.
No, don't feel him. It was terrible.
Oh, of course.
Halron reach out, just see if shape water would actually affect it.
What are you trying to do?
He wants to have no more effect than as if it was one more drip, right? Just prodding the surface to see if there's enough water there that, maybe Duron can swim in it.
Roll me a wisdom saving throw. Basically, it's going to be your nature magic check, which is your wisdom plus your proficiency, a wisdom saving throw.
Ooh.
Yep. You feel that it is water, but your spell has no effect. It is liquid water, but it does not respond to your magic.
Halron, we'll make sure that Duron is aware of that.
Can I make a medicine check?
Yes.
Nat 20.
Yep. How do you go about making this check?
Pulls out his
Kato
chemistry
will-
set.
with the microscope. No, Kato will crouch down and kind of lightly dip a finger into it to feel the consistency because he's got a hunch.
Okay. As you reach out and touch it, every bruise, every ache, every hangnail, every scale on your form is regenerated. The scar from your near-death experience
Was this part of, I guess, is this remnant bone or is this remnant blood that is collected in the water and is now just kind of doing the same thing to the stream that is, flowing through?
On a natural 20, it seems as though this flow of water that came out of these crystals that you all spotted didn't seem to be totally geologic in nature, seemed to have some sort of, was formed by some extraordinary natural circumstance. In its contact with this platinum dragon's skeleton, that it is become imbued with the essence of the very bones of this platinum dragon.
We all see that Kato is healed, I assume.
In this light, the reality is that the scar is so small.
Yeah, no, it's... He got it from trying to hide and bumping his head on a dresser.
Yeah, so...
Near death.
Near-death experience. So I would say if you have a passive perception above 16, you might notice. Anything lower, you would not.
Okay.
I mean, you might notice Kato's reaction, but...
Remarkable.
Is it?
Yes, this water, it's imbued with the essence of this dragon. Imbued with the bone, it's its own creation now. And it has remarkable restorative ability. I stubbed my toe when I was unwittingly dragged up this, and the pain is gone. My scar is gone.
Oh, a stubbed toe, that really is remarkable.
I have a question for all of you. And I will preface this by saying that my answer is that I would prefer to find another way. How resolute are you on using this shard to return home? Because I may have been wrong earlier, but we're now at the source of the only thing that we have known to fight the corruption. But I can't guarantee what consequences that might have.
I am unsure if I am willing to do anything with the shard, not for the transportation capabilities, but because if something happens to the shard, we will not get Fitz back. I am curious, though, if we can use this water to heal whatever is ailing Shimandala when they arrive.
There are quite a number of things that I believe that can be healed on some of us as well. And Queta makes a very conscious glance over to Duron's spider legs.
Baldir makes a very conscious glance down at Kato's toe.
The spider legs disappeared after their last long rest.
Correct. Yeah, they did.
Oh, so they're just like straight up gone?
Yeah.
It did heal my
For
scar.
now.
I no longer look nearly as rugged as I did once before. But if there is something that ails you or something that you wish to get rid of, a simple touch from this water will get rid of it completely.
If I were a sassier lizard, I would just flick water at you at this point.
How does Baldir react to Duron's question about the shard? Because that's what Halron will, immediately look for.
I think he gives Duron a long look. Doesn't necessarily pipe up, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, because I think after looking at Duron, kind of contemplating things for a moment, Halron is the person he turns to.
Yeah, Duron's staring at you.
Baldir is the one who, has made the promise even before the recent developments to kind of figure out what's going on with Halron and settling these matters. So,
If anyone's got decent insight, or Kato particularly, you will know that there's gonna be some beef between Otrek and a certain primordial dragon that has already had a little bit of an encounter there. Otrek's not saying anything, and Otrek's the type that would say something. So the people that know him best would definitely pick up that there are probably going to be problems.
Define decent insight.
I don't know, I'm not.
What's his passive deception?
Yeah.
Shimandala doesn't wear a hat, so you can kind of just assume.
Yeah. No, I would say
Otrek's not very deceptive, but he's a very talented individual. So if you're pushing any sort of wisdom 2 mod, 3 mod, you probably would pick it up. Just on not to be a DM here, but just like on my levels of this is where I'm at as a lizard folk.
I would also say as a lizard folk, you are not a normal read. I think certainly.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I would say that Kato certainly knows you well enough after spending 100 years with you. I would say otherwise it would be it would be basically I would say it's probably a passive insight of let's call it 19-ish. I mean, I don't think it's quite a 20, but 18 seems. I mean, I'll say 19. Sure. Yeah, I'm a DM. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, above table, Otrek's probably gonna get squirrely. At table, he's cold. He's cold.
I think just kind of after those long glances, and I'm gonna say even Baldir noticing Otrek at this point after their initial combos, he's just gonna return Duron's glance. This has been my goal for some time. That being said, ultimately, what I wanted was something different, something new. And I've received that in abundance quite recently. Now I am with Cato. I do believe that what we have here, this gift, this could be what helps us cure the ailment, what helps us reclaim Fitz, and leaves us with the necessary items to complete our journey. All that said, there are matters here that must be attended to, that have been promised. I am willing to hear you, Duron. And I will listen, and I will say my piece. But ultimately, I am but a humble servant of my captain.
You see Biriana was about to open her mouth, and then after Baldir spoke, sort of clamped down. I promised you I would not make any more decisions on this journey without everyone agreeing. It was, maybe still will be, a life goal of mine to see some other world than this one. But she looks around this place, sort of looks at Cato, looks at Duron. I will captain your ship, but I will not drag you to the places that you do not wish yourselves to go.
I had a Duron-esque idea.
What is that supposed to mean?
I did not stutter.
Not one that'll put our lives in mortal jeopardy, I hope.
It is rather dangerous.
Well,
But if my inklings are correct, as a medical professional, Shimandala is not in good health. I believe we may try to leverage healing them in exchange for maintaining the shard. Shimandala is likely dying.
That still leaves the question of how do we fix the shard?
Shimandala need not know that. We could likely do it with this.
And that was my original thought. I just don't know what the consequences of putting that in there will be.
Ideally, I would like, if we were to try this, an isolated experiment of sorts. That way, if this does go awry, it does not pollute the entire water system that is fed and influenced by the start here.
Well, it's not only that, though, is it? Without this source, that corruption may spread through the entire region that we have been sailing. This is what is keeping it at bay. And
Hey, you made a joke.
Unintentionally. It wasn't very funny.
I wouldn't laugh at it either.
I agree with potentially using it as a bargaining chip. I don't know about using it for the shard, though. And to that end, I would prefer to find another way to see you complete your journey.
I think you were on to something earlier, and I know you have experienced your bout of hazing for it, but I truly believe you were on to something. I trust you, and I think that this could work. If it is your doubt manifesting that tells you that you wish not to do it, I suggest you tell it to fuck off, because you are a very capable individual, and I back you in this, if this is what you wish to do.
I would put that to a vote. Personally, without knowing that we will destroy this source, I would be against it.
Birana sort of looks around. So, what is it we're voting on exactly?
I suppose there are two votes. One, to attempt to use this as a bargaining chip to keep it for ourselves in exchange for me healing Shimandala. The second vote would be if we wish to attempt to use this source to heal the shard itself. If we were to do this, I would suggest doing it after Shimandala is dealt with. That way we don't lose our bargaining chip in the first place. I did mention this was a very Duron-esque plan.
Birana looks to Otrek. Can you use the shard the way it is now?
I felt that one coming. Above table, stop me if I'm wrong on any of the scroll, but Otrek will say, yes, I can. If we are loose with use, and if we are broad in our minds on the outcome.
Is it safe to use the shard as it is?
All you see is the lips peel back from this lizard face and just teeth. Just teeth.
So, since you said above table, basically my statement on this is, y'all can certainly try.
That's exactly what Otrek is about. I think, like, above table, Soul thinks, I can throw dice and I can make it work. There are going to be consequences. They're very likely going to come back on me. If I can at least try and contain that. But I can't promise it's just going to be contained to Otrek. I am super happy about that being the way this goes. Otrek is also actually happy about that, throwing a middle finger at all the dragons and getting everyone out. That's right, something he would love to do. But it's not safe. It's not guaranteed. If I botch the roll, it's probably not going to be great for everyone. We want a safer option. Otrek, in fact, despite wanting to throw a major middle finger at all the other dragons, does want a safer option. He's petty, but he's not that petty. Pretty close, but not quite.
While everyone is kind of negotiating, debating that, Quaid's looking at the puddle. Is it fair to call it a puddle or a pool? Can I make an investigation check on how much? It's
a large hot tub. I mean, it's a resort hot tub type idea. I mean,
hot tub was the exact.
Is it also a time machine?
It's also a time machine.
Okay, so Quaida is actually looking at that and just wondering, exactly how much of this do we need to heal the shard? Does anyone I don't think any of us have any idea about that, do we?
Nothing.
Well, you see, the thing is, if it can heal a person at just a touch, there was something else I was hoping to bring at least a little bit of it back for as well, just for ourselves.
I'm not the only one afflicted.
This is true. I don't know how. Well, you were all there, of course. It all happened on our ship. The frightening bone condition is still rampant among much of our crew, to their dismay, justifiably so. I don't know if exactly I can necessarily act as their spokesperson in all this, but to put it simply, I feel they've gotten quite the short end of all of this. And at least bringing them anywhere with at least a workable body, with at least their bones intact, I feel would be. Does that make sense?
It does. And with that knowledge and thought process in mind, Duron, do you still have... You have not been fully cured of your curse, correct?
It has a tendency to flare up, yes.
Short of one of us opening the shard and touching it now to test it, we could use you. If this gets rid of your curse, it is the same corruption. Science is all experimentation. We will have no idea, but we will have a better idea if this source affects the shard, if it cures you.
Mm-hmm.
You've already said it makes you better.
For what it's worth, it was a very pleasant experience. All ruggedness losing aside.
I'm sorry, what?
Otrek will place the scaly claw on Duran's shoulder and say, "Yes, it was a pleasant experience knowing you."
No, that is... No, that is not what I meant.
Yes.
Otrek
The
looks
healing...
confused.
The healing was a pleasant experience.
I will go down to the pool and kind of like kneel down close to it. I'm still kind of like glancing over at Baldir, and I'm gonna send him a message telepathically. I may have another solution for you. And I'll put my hand in the water.
You sort of slide your hand between under this mercurial surface. And there is just a wave of relief through your hand. It's one of those, you don't realize how much you were coping in every joint, in every bone, until you submerge your hand. I need you to make me a wisdom saving throw at disadvantage.
Ooh. Okay. Where's... Yeah, I'll just roll twice. Oh. Okay, above table, does an 18 succeed?
It does. It gives you a choice.
Great.
pool is calling to you.
Then I've never been one to like back away, so why not just go for it? And I will just sort of stand up and I don't want to say dive into it because I don't know how deep it is, but dive into it.
You just sort of let yourself follow your hand and fall down into the water. All of you see this mercurial surface just completely cover Duron, and without but just like a single ripple as he disappears below the surface. As you
What deep was
feel
that?
the corruption just dissolve out of your body. But there is something more to it. Your mind begins to open. And that conduit between yourself and Shimandala opens. And you feel them very close. And you feel as though that's where you're being directed. And then you flow back out of Shimandala and start being pulled back here to the pool, to the skeleton, to the skull, to Volkulran, and to the barrel. And you feel almost like a song in your mind. That same siren song that's called you to the sea so many times before. Was not from Shimandala. Your magic, your patron, is this shard. That Shimandala, from living within this sea, with and embracing its power, as just another conduit, that you are not a warlock of the fathom, but a warlock of a shard of the sky and the cosmos itself.
Okay. I'm gonna need a minute. I don't know what to do next, and everybody's staring at me.
Damn, I'm gonna need a minute just experiencing
you are
that.
welcome to take a moment. I guess the question is do you stay in that place, or do you...
Is it, like... Does it have, like, its own willpower, or is it just, like a source?
A source.
Okay. Cool.
That the will that was being sort of imprinted on it was Shimandala's, but the actual power, that a primordial, there's a recognition that a primordial itself does not have the power of a patron.
Okay.
Tell you what, while you're thinking, the rest of you, above, so the rest of you, boom, you feel and see across the top of the pool, ripple, almost like a seismic ripple. Boom. Very Jurassic Park. I so love that you wore that shirt. Boom. You hear massive impacts coming from outside the skull.
So, Otrek will dust his hands on his thighs, look out over the pool, and go, "It was a pleasure knowing him."
He's not. He's not dead.
just 5 talons will extend towards the pool where there are no bubbles, nothing coming from it.
I breathe underwater. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
But
dead,
he
homie.
is.
Homie, you dead.
But he is
I will
submerged.
I
for
will
now, right?
surface at some point and climb out.
Better have a hat, or I don't know you.
Oh yeah, that. Have I ever worn my hat?
You have.
Ah, who's this?
No, are you sure?
Yeah.
2 episodes.
Uh,
I keep track.
all right, Grant. The shard is in the hands of an elemental, like standing basically to our sides, right? Is that how I'm understanding?
Yes, but with what Howron and I assume is Shimandala's arrival, Howron will order the elemental to climb further into the skull. Not into the pool or anything, but
Yeah.
we haven't voted, but Howron is very much a let's keep the shard vote, and we'll at least have the elemental move further away for the time being.
Okay, so I think Queta, hearing that it sounds like there's like wing beats going on, Queta is gonna make an Arcana check just to check on the state of the shard, I think. See if anything has changed about any of this.
It is so shielded. I mean, I'm not going to even have you roll. It's just behind all this shielding, you wouldn't be able to detect any changes in it. I will say outside, I mean, you can hear boom, boom, which, having caught Shimon, you've flown under a primordial dragon. This does not seem like wing beats. This seems like footsteps.
Is he likely, for Kato, is he probably too tired to fly at this point? Would that be a logical conclusion to make?
If you're making that conclusion, I can say Kato would be making that conclusion. I mean,
Okay.
you have twice looked in on this dragon that was faltering.
Okay, I have questions.
Yes.
Do I still sense any corruption coming out of the shard?
Yes.
Okay. When
And you've-
Duron resurfaces, he's gonna like that like wide-eyed look y'all see on my face is on his face. I've changed my mind. I think we need to put the shard in the water.
Now?
And if that is my vote.
Do you feel corrupted still? Is it still a thing? Do I need to look you over, like exam? Can you tell?
Tempting as though that may be. I think I'll pass for now.
Do you feel different?
Do I feel different?
You definitely feel the corruption has left your body.
Yes. Much better. Very relieved. And a little bit angry. But that's for...
You now feel the boom, boom.
Yeah. That is for somebody else.
Shimandala is here. Let's go get fixed. We can return to submerge the shard once he is safe.
How are we going to proceed? Are we going to parlay with Shimandala to cure him?
Outside,
I believe-
you hear something that sounds like an avalanche. Just thundering outside.
I vote yes.
Proceed to vote. You know my vote. I will assess the situation from the top That did not sound good. And
Well,
he did
before
not.
he desecrates this place, I would think I will let you all solve this, and I'm going to go outside and have a conversation with him.
I will stay in here then, because that sounds like something I wish not to be around.
Okay.
I
In
might
that case,
need your assistance, Kato.
real quick. In that case, this is a really weird situation, but I think it's in tune with Otrek. A hand slaps across Kato's hand. I'm going to drag a ring off your finger. Are you going to stop me?
No. Is it that one?
It's a platinum
one.
ring.
It is.
Okay.
And then two scaly boys going to go outside as I'm cramming a ring towards Duron's scaly digits.
I put it on.
All right. As we head out, if I have the option to cast it.
I voted. Whatever y'all want to do.
Baldir, Halra, and Quaida, go ahead, Meta. You've had your hand up for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So while they're in the panic of all that, Quaida is very hurriedly actually scooping some of the water into her own water skin to save for.
Oh,
later.
yeah, I would have also given you my empty one, and you could have put it in that.
Yeah.
I agree with that whole thought.
Yeah, so she is like scooping some of that water in, but she's also looking over at the shard and saying, well, if they're going to buy us some time, no, there's no shame in throwing it in the water now. Just to throw the thought out there. As she's loading up these water skins.
Halron goes outside, and the elemental is just still holding on to the barrel.
Inside
Did you
the skull.
Sorry, sorry, you both said something at once, Jane?
I was just asking, is the elemental staying within the skull? With the
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Elemental stays within the skull. Halron votes for keep the shard, parlay to heal Shimandala.
What about using the pool?
Yes, but after.
Baldir? We're going to slow the clock down. This is in the moments between seconds, so we can give you all a moment to relay what your characters, because things could unfold very rapidly.
Baldir goes to follow Duron, Otrek, Halron out. And he goes to take one last look at the shard before moving on, and he finds himself frozen in place.
Okay.
He turns to Kato before nodding and returning his gaze to the shard and approaching it slowly. His hand quivers and begins to reach out for it. He catches himself. I think he actually puts his other arm like grabbing his wrist. And it curls his his hand into a fist, shaking a bit. Before shaking his head, looking to Kato. We listen. We give them a chance, and if we need to expedite things on our end. He looks back at the shard. He really wants to drop it in. He's really trying to give Duron a chance here.
We will get you home.
So Quaida's still kind of there just watching all of that unfold. She decides to begin the descent down the skull. She looks to Kato and asks, You're going to be waiting here?
As nice as that would be,
Kato.
Duron has... Yes. No. I would be there for Fitz, yes.
So who is staying in the skull? Who is going out?
The elemental stays. Halron goes out.
Duron goes out.
I'm lockstep with Duron.
Otrek goes out. Queta?
Queta
I
is
am
going
fine
to...
with impulsive actions. At this point, like I said, this is a campaign nexus. Play the game. That's what we're here for. Dungeons and Dragons is going to happen no matter what goes on. So play the game. I'm here for every option here. That's what campaign nexuses are all about. So,
is there any other entrance to this?
Does not appear to be. As I would say, Kato would know that there are probably, skull is connected to the rest of the body in various ways. Could you find a way? But the way it's embedded in the crystal and the rock, you don't see any obvious way.
I'm just worried about leaving it alone.
Well, the elemental is there. If anything happens, Halron can very quickly go back at least.
Queta says, if you're both going, Queta says, I'll meet you both out there. She'll take her carpenter tools out and begin loosening any restraints she can on the barrel. Okay. So in case we want to throw it in there, it's nice and easy.
So yeah, breaking basically the lead solder that seals it shut.
Why do you do this to my lizard?
You're outside.
Oh my god, I hate y'all so much.
Kato's not, though. Not yet.
Okay, so Kato is there with Queta. Baldir, you were torn. I'm putting you a threshold right now. Where are you going?
Baldir is staying with the shard.
Okay.
If Baldir is staying and he hasn't moved, then Kato would have probably left before Queta did the thing. I don't want to be meta. Because Duron was calling for him. So, yeah.
Yeah, what's wrong with being me?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. So you're staying or going?
Oh, no. Kato's going. Kato was going to go, but
Right.
Baldir was still talking to him.
Right.
But he would have already been gone by the time Queta was doing that stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, since Baldir is staying.
So, Baldir, Elemental, Queta in the skull. The rest of you step out. The rest of you step out and basically down by the tail of Valaris. You see, basically having fallen off of one of these cliffs, the massive shape of Shimandala, seeming to have tumbled down the cliffside. Just to remind you of scale, you'd only seen Shimandala's head before. For any of you who've been on any of these mega cruise ships, he looks like one of those that has run aground and has fallen over, lying belly up, neck sort of turned around, one arm outstretched, and you see sort of in the curled claw hands that's now seemed to have fallen open when he fell. You see Fitz, who stands up and starts running towards you.
Is he breathing?
Roll me a perception check.
Oh.
I'm going to roll that too.
Yes,
you
please.
can roll medicine or perception if you'd like, Kato.
Okay.
No.
So,
Oh, no.
is Scott there?
Oh.
Kato first. I yield.
Can I use my session 1 inspiration?
Absolutely.
Oh my god! You've been
Go ahead,
holding that
reroll
one
that.
from the start? Kuma! Oh my god. I cannot.
Duron, go ahead and
Oh, I did. I got a 4.
okay.
I would also like to roll perception.
Go ahead and roll me a perception. And while you are rolling that, I've got to bio. I will be back in like 30 seconds.
Quick pie.
Because this is getting good.
I gotta say, Kuma holding on that one.
I have.
Mad
I want
giants,
like
dude.
to have a 2-hour-long conversation about everything that just happened.
No doubt.
Same.
So, just so it's clear, Queta's not trying to like totally bust the barrel open. She's just loosening it so the option is there.
It's just dangerous. It's dangerous, and it's not a great call, but I love the red buttons that are being pushed tonight, and I support you and your chaos gremlin nature.
It's a great call.
Yes.
Soul
It's a
doesn't
great
care.
call.
I've got some ideas.
Please.
I will need someone at some point to pass me a vial of that river water, just as you know, like that platinum juice.
Ah, shit, I have all of it.
Meta's got it all.
Real quick,
I will need you to throw me something, because there's
please above table. If there are any things or actions that would like really piss people off or would like ruin like the game, please say like.
Well,
I'm not jumping in one direction or another right now. I just really want to be open with this conversation of like not sending us down a pathway people aren't interested or excited.
Yeah.
I legitimately
Dan,
have
he's back.
a solution
I have an idea.
outside of the shard.
Okay, so on that perception of 16, so Halran, as you run out, especially with your dark vision, there is moonlight here, but just you're able to pierce it a little bit more. I mean, you see this, the body of Shimandala there, literally over 1,000 feet long. Their huge form, 10, 11 stories. You know, it's like standing next to an apartment building that is like toppled over as it fell off the cliffs surrounding the area. You do see shallowed, labored breathing. But again, you are still, you know, it seems like you are almost right on top of them because of their size, but you're probably still 200 or 300 feet away, maybe more. It's hard. It's almost hard to judge scale. This giant skeleton of Valaris, now Shimandala, and then this tiny form of Fitz sprinting towards you.
Right. Jay, you walked away right as I was asking you a question.
I'm sorry. Scott,
Present?
you do not see Scott at this moment. Do you have, what kind of connection do you have to Scott? Do you like kind of, is there whether like you can control them with the 60 feet of you or whatever? I would say
I don't know that there's actually a range on it. Let me double check.
roll me an Arcana check. Let's do it that way. Instead of
works.
bothering with the rules, let's let the dice tell
Screw
us.
the rules.
Screw the rules.
I rolled as poorly as I could.
You do not get any feel for Scott, but you also probably understand that you are in that place seeing this primordial dragon again. You are in a different state of mind.
Not my best of peak.
Yeah. Kato, you certainly, you weren't able, your focus as soon as you see Fitz just is locked there, so you're unable to make an assessment of Shimandala. You hear Fitz beginning to yell, "Sir! Sir!"
Kato's gonna try to run and intercept him.
It takes a minute or two as you all are running towards each other. What is anyone else doing as that's happening out there, as there's a little bit of distance to cover?
Halran follows along.
Are we in initiative?
We are not in initiative yet. How about inside the skull? What's happening? Queta, you said you're just loosening, of course not opening, but just making it so that there's not as much time in case it comes up. Baldir, what are you up to?
I'm literally just like glued in to Kata loosening everything and kind of setting this whole process up. and I think it's probably not. It's not subtle with his frame. I think you can probably hear that kind of like nervous tapping of one of his feet, just tensing up, and really listening into what's going on outside. Anything else that he can perceive.
Yeah.
He's doing his best to give everyone a chance before he kind of acts really without the permission of the group. So
Gotcha.
As Queto's just continuing to, he thinks just that little tiny bit of looseness.
Yeah.
She kind of mentions to Baldir, would you mind not being so close? Also, any information about what's going on outside, I think would be very helpful right now. Please?
I think you're muted.
Am I still muted?
Oh, now you're back. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Yes, but we can't leave the shard of the pool alone.
And we won't. Not as long as we're here.
It's kind of like opening a paint can, you know, you kind of have to go all the way around and loosen it. It's kind of like that's what's going on. Fitz is running up to you, and just as he sees you, Cato, sir, something's wrong. Something's really wrong.
I know. What can you tell me?
And you see him sort of like, okay, the first like 10 days it was like just normal. Okay, like you told me. What are the symptoms? 7 days ago, they start sort of like getting fidgety, kind of like if your leg's asleep. 5 days ago, 5 days ago, they like mid-morning just like let out this roar, and that it points over to the right rear leg, ripped open, but not that bad. And you can just see, now that he's pointed out, these spikes like on the vial reef just bristling out, and at his scale they are gigantic. They are some 60, 70 feet long, some of them. And we started flying, and I thought we'd be okay at first, but he hasn't stopped at all. They haven't stopped. And then, like 3 days ago in the morning, something changed again, something new. That one came out, and you see like a 35-foot long spider leg slowly wiggling. And then later in the day, that started happening, and you see underneath of the skin things are crawling underneath of Shimandala's skin. And it got a little better yesterday morning, but he couldn't fly anymore, so he's kind of been crawling, sort of flutter hopping here since. He said, kind of in his, he wasn't making, he needed the shard.
That was an excellent recollection, Fitz. Thank you. Let's get you to the others. You did good, and I'm very proud of you.
I tried to remember everything. There was the first 10 days were really okay. It just hugs you.
I'll hug him back.
Do I notice that this is kind of in a timeline that is awfully familiar to what Duron has been going through?
5 days ago, you were at the Vile Reef.
Yep.
3 days ago, you were at the Dark Canyon in the morning, and in the afternoon was when you touched the shard.
Yeah.
And then you felt a little better earlier today, and then here we are.
So wouldn't he feel better now because
You don't know.
the dunk tank? Okay.
Dunk tank. Yeah.
There might be
How
other
much-
things that are affecting why he doesn't feel better now. Some revelations.
How far away am I from Baldir?
Baldier's up in the skull.
How far away is that at
How
this
far?
point?
Is
You
that
tell
like
me
120
when.
feet? Is that...
I was gonna
I
say.
got short little lizard legs, man.
I was gonna say. I mean, again, same thing. Fitz was running towards you. Kato started running forward. Duron, did you stay locked in place, or did you start moving forward?
Oh,
when Kato
I'm like
ran?
was heading towards Shimandala, so I imagine I'm with wherever Kato and
So that's a real
Fitz
question.
are.
Before, you would not have heard, unless you were with Kato and Duron, you would not have heard what Fitz had said.
Right.
I can see what's going on, and I've got a plan already.
Okay.
Otrek is going to yell for Baldir. I need that pool water. Because one, Baldir has big old ears. They're going to be able to hear me. Two, I have real hard time figuring out which dwarf is which. I think that's Queta, but I'm not sure. So we're going to go with the Lockstone that I know. We're going to... I just need you to throw me some water. Like a vial, a water flask of that water from inside that skull.
I will say, because I forgot to say where Biriana was, she would have been running with Kato towards Fitz.
That's cool too.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Because at this point, she's got the soul shard. Her next greatest important thing on her mind is getting Fitz.
Yep. But
Okay.
that's going to be my deal. I need one or more flasks or vials or whatever of water. That's crucial at this point.
Okay. Boo, 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 boo. I do have very large ears. Jay, are you cool with me hearing
Oh yeah,
this?
you would have heard it. Yeah, you've got a 16 passive perception. Yeah, and
Awesome.
just being interested with things going on.
You'll see, Queta, if you're paying attention, or just the kind of magical camera that looms over, you'll see Baldir's ears kind of twitch for a second, picking up the kind of light sound of this, and he will like stiffen up a bit and go a little wide-eyed before narrowing them. Queta, did you hear that? That was Otrek. Your
What?
flask.
One of the flasks?
He needs some of this water. He needs it now.
Do you know why?
It's all I could hear. That it's imperative for what comes next.
Queta kind of puts her carpenter tools away, grabs one of the filled flasks, because I think I have Duron's and I have mine, and I have Queta's. So we have 2 water skins full. She's going to grab one, click her boots of speed, and make the move over to
Nice.
Otrek.
Okay, you go zipping out. You see Otrek, you would see Queta running towards you. What is Duron doing? We haven't checked in with you.
Yep, been kind of quiet. So listening about to the description of what happened to Shimandala and picking up, it's like, huh, that's makes sense. I just kind of want to like keep walking. Like, are we like 200, 300 feet from him?
I'd say at
What's
this
the
point,
distance?
split the distance. You were like 300 feet. I'd say you're about
Yeah.
150 feet away. He's a big dragon, so
Yeah. I'll just kind of, and he's also really long, so I'm just kind of like going to walk up to where I'm assuming that he's kind of like laying back
yeah.
on his back. Yeah. Walk over to where his eye is and see if, like walk into vision of wherever his eye is and ask, "Can you hear me?"
You hear almost a whisper and it's not even verbalized. It's almost just an affirmative sort of sigh and a bit of a movement of the pupil, and you see it sort of focus down.
We might have a way to save you. But I've learned things after coming here. And our price is the shard.
When you say that, there's it's almost like getting a whiff of ether. You sort of see, or not ether, what's the one that wakes you up?
Smelling salts?
Smelling salts.
Smelling salt.
Yeah.
Ammonia salts.
Yeah. You hear him whisper, and again, it's a giant dragon whisker, so you probably can. The purity of the shard is the only thing that can help me now.
Will you allow us to keep it after we purify it? I know now that you don't give me my power.
You see him questioning, like a questioning look in his expression, as though nothing deceptive about it, just like, what are you talking about?
I think it technically has to be like words, but I would love to just send him all of the images that I experienced over the earlier 10,
you can do
15
that.
minutes.
Absolutely.
Telepathically.
You feel the shock and almost a diminution of his ego and his mind, and the utter surprise.
I think that we intended to purify that shard one way or the other. I can't speak for everyone on that regard. But whether we do it in time to save you, it appears to be debatable.
Let's move on. Cato, what are you doing?
Now that Fitz and Brianna and the group has kind of been reunited with Fitz, assuming Fitz has let go of Cato, Cato will just kind of stick near the group. I don't think Duron hasn't moved forward, correct?
No, Duron moved much farther forward.
Yeah, I'm close enough to where he can see and
60 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. Brianna is with Fitz.
Brianna's with Fitz and you.
All right.
And I'd say
will
Haran as well at this point, until y'all tell me where y'all off to.
Yeah, Cato still isn't 100% sure why Duron wanted him up here, so...
Because I died once already today.
Cato will put a hand on Fitz's shoulder, kind of give him a squeeze, and then nod to Brianna before, I guess, walking to Duron and just kind of being on stand by.
She gives you just a squeeze to your hand and gives you bardic inspiration.
Dope. And I
All
need
right.
it.
On a squeeze.
So, Kato,
Auron.
yeah. So, Kato, you're moving forward. Is there anything you'd like to do as you arrive where Duron is, or?
Yeah. Let me cast. Let me cast something. What can I cast you on, you buddy? Let's give you. Let's see. So he's about 60 feet away?
60 feet from Shimandala, about 100 feet from you.
Oh,
I bet as you're
100 feet from
walking
me.
forward in your movement, you can get close enough to be within 60 feet.
Okay. That won't work then. I guess I will cast guidance. That's touch. All right, I'll cast bless.
Okay.
I will bless Duron and
Halram would be in range as well, and you get 3, right? You can do yourself.
yeah. So me, Duron, and Haran
Okay.
get bless. So that's an extra a D4 for attack roll or saving throws.
Got it. Halram, what are you up to?
Halron probably would have just been a few steps ahead of Kato, letting him reunite with Fitz, seeing that Biriano will be taking care of Fitz, and then wanting to be there to help out Duron if need be. But I don't have anything fun like Blessed to cast, so I'm just standing there.
Okay. Queta, Boots of Speed, you are charging out, and I would say you don't arrive at Duron in time to hear the conversation with Shimandala, but sort of pull up right as Kato and Halram do.
Totally fine. What she wanted to do mostly is kind of take, now that she's here, kind of taking the scene. I think, are we going by one action, one bonus, etc., etc.?
We're
right
playing
now?
it by ear.
Okay.
Tell me what you want to do. I'll tell you how long it's going to take.
Okay. If she can, she wants to do 2 things. One, she wants to hand the water skin to Otrek.
Okay.
So she'll do that. 2, she wants to kind of take stock of looking over the corruption, the spikes. Do any of them look like they're like poised to like shoot spikes at us like those other ones did?
They look very similar to the ones that you saw at the Vile Reef. I mean, again, you're not an expert in shooting corrupted coral spikes, bone spikes, but they are very similar to the ones that you saw shoot at the Vile Reef, which were not quite this scale, but almost this scale.
All right. She's gonna kind of look at them real quick, just whisper, kind of say to Otrek as she's handing him the water skin, keep an eye on those spikes. Keep sharp on all of those. Make sure they're all safe.
Okay. Let's go to Otrek.
One more thing.
Okay.
Once she's handed that back, she's going to zip back into the skull, click her boots of speed, and continue working.
It's going to take a little bit
barrel.
of time to get back there.
That's fine.
Yeah. Otrek, I don't know whether you were moving forward or staying put or what your plan was, but depending on where you are, if you would have stayed with Duron, you sort of got this water at the very end. If you were hanging back, you would have gotten a little bit earlier in your in this sequence.
The plan is to get as close to Shimandala as possible.
Okay.
With that water skin.
Okay, so once you get the water skin, and you could even already been moving forward, sort of seeing that Queta was coming with her boots of speed. Are you heading up sort of towards the head where Duron is, or elsewhere?
Where is the corruption most localized?
Most in the lower right-hand quarter of the body. And I mean, as you're approaching, roll me a perception check, actually with advantage, as you kind of are assessing what you're looking at.
Sure. Perception with advantage. Not bad.
Twelves. This area is huge. I mean, 50, 60 feet high by almost 120 feet long. I mean, it is a massive, I mean, not as big as the Vile Reef, but like a quarter of the size of the Vile Reef. It is nasty and has overtaken about a quarter, or from what you can see and the way that Shimandala is positioned, about a quarter, sort of rear flank of leg, tail, a hip, and parts of sort of abdomen area.
All right. So a lot of things are going on in Otrek's mind. First thing is, I'm walking into danger. I'm doing that deliberately. Duron is distracting the focus of the consciousness that runs this body, but I don't trust that being a safe thing. Also, softly call out, I'm probably gonna need more water.
Okay.
Would he have been able to hear the response that Shimandala gave me?
Roll me a perception. I'll go with your 12th perception. I'd say no. With your concentration elsewhere and with your plan rolling through your head, I would say you would not. I need Baldir to roll me a perception check at disadvantage at this point because you've moved a long way forward and he's deep inside his skull. We also need to check in with what Baldir is doing alone with this
Yeah, go ahead.
shard. So let's do all that at once.
If you do want my above table on what I'm planning to do, you can hit me up.
So, Baldir, on an 8, you are alone in this skull with a still closed but no longer sealed lead barrel with this shard of the sky, corrupted shard of the sky in it.
Baldir, ever since Quita's exit, has just been staring intensely at the shard and its encasement, and his foot frantically tapping before it finally comes to a complete stop. And just to be mindful of time and what I am able to do in my allotted slot here, he is going to approach the shard and look to the pool, and he is going to dip his hands first into the pool and basically like coat them in the waters.
I mean, you feel that sort of healing surge come over you, but it's interesting, especially with your affinity with the storm and magic. You know, at first, when you sort of put it on your hands, it basically, runs back off, almost like mercury does. Doesn't really seem to stick. And as soon as your thought is of coating your hands, it almost seems to make like gloves around your hands.
Okay. And I can call it there just to cut back to the rest of everybody.
Okay. I think we're back to Duron probably at this point. How do you want to do this with this negotiation?
Oh, I would love to be able to intimidate him.
Roll me an intimidation check.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was just you bullshitting, but okay.
Oh, yes! That's a 26.
On a 26, having just pretty much shattered his ego, you almost get a feedback of yourself when you were sort of having that struggle of your own limitations when you were trying to go it alone to make it to the Cerulean Sea, and that you just kept hitting storm after storm, and that insecurity that sort of haunted you, that feeling of being an imposter in your own life and not being able to achieve the things that you knew were calling out to you. You feel that feedback from Shimandala. And with a sigh, he says, I'm not sure if I'm worthy of it anymore anyway.
You don't need to be worthy to receive kindness.
He sighs, sort of tumbles that in his brain a little bit. I guess it means I'm now at your mercy. The sigh is very familiar.
I bet. So we have an accord then.
It seems as though, whether I live or die, the shard is yours.
Thank you. I will turn back to the skull and kind of using my sort of like dragonborn breath shout, will just call out to Baldir, who I'm assuming still there, and just say, "Do it!"
We're going to jump right to Baldir. So, before the shout comes, what were you doing?
Man, I was coating my hands with what's in the pool, and I was approaching the shard. And I think as he goes to touch it, there's maybe a second of flash of doubt in his mind, and they begin to fall before I think his ears pick up, however faintly, that shout. He'll breathe in, he'll breathe out, and he'll have a thought to himself before he does it. He knows what it's like to be alone. Trust him. One more time. And he will basically tear the shard from where it is and dunk it into the pool here.
As you reach your hands in, sort of by feel, you take the shard and throw it into the pool. And as it hits the water, you see the surface begin to roil as this mercurial silver begins to swirl, and all of you now begin to hear and feel this peace come over the place. You watch from outside all of the river and the water that has been flowing down over the skull begin to glow. First, seems like just shimmers of moonlight on its surface. And then, whoosh, like lightning bolts across the ground following these rivulets. Molten silver across it, and you all hear in your mind this resonating music as the shard releases and is freed from its corruption. And it begins to spread out across. You see it flow where Shamandala has fallen, where the rivulets are sort of running underneath of him. And as it comes into contact with his body, you see his skin begin to light up. And for those who had looked previously, his entire body is covered with the glyphs of the shard, but they are unbroken. They are whole. And you see them shine out. You have to look away. It's not that same painful psychic energy you had before that caused damage, but it is just this overload of information filling your mind as the scales of this dragon become glyphs. And for the first time on this world, in many, many millennia, a glyph scale dragon has been reborn. And that is where we'll end tonight's session.
That's a big one. Love it.
Hope everyone had fun this evening, and thank you everyone for joining in for my very world building, my world building indulgence of fun little things for folks who've watched some of my other streams and know some more things about my world. But thank you to all of my players. You all played this out beautifully. I could not have asked for more. Thank you so much. If y'all are tuning in for the first time, please join us in donating to Satchel's Last Chance Resort. It's where Lunar came from, if you follow me on social media. They are a wonderful organization. And let's go around and meet our cast. We will start with Soul.
Hello everyone, I'm Soul from Soul's Rolls. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet at Soul's Rolls. I play Otrek, our lizard folk battlesmith artificer, coming in late to this one, but happy to tag along.
Next up, we have Ace.
Hi y'all, I'm Ace of Sween. You can find me there on Twitter if you want. Mine is still blown, so I'm gonna pass it along to the next person.
Next up, we have Grant.
Yeah, mind blown is definitely apt. And yeah, I'm Grant, and you can find me on Twitter. I'll put my thing in the chat here. But thanks for watching tonight, everybody.
Next up, we have Meta.
Hi, yeah, that was rad. That was cool. Glad to give Queta some exercise through all that. Sheesh. Yeah, I'm Metazoa. I'm going to throw my name and my info in the chat as well. You can find me here on Twitch, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I stream sometimes. I play music and upload music. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. This was really cool.
Next up, we have Bird.
Hey folks, I'm Bird. I've been playing Baldir. Thanks to everyone for what ended up somehow being kind of an indulgent Baldir episode as well. But thank you guys for some really cool moments. Just an awesome session overall.
And last but not least, Kuma.
Hi, hello, yes, I am Kuma. You can find me everywhere online at Kuma the Bronze. And thank you so much for having me. And great episode tonight.
And I'm Tall Squall. Hope you enjoyed our story, and there is still lots more to come. Join us next week for Tabletop Tuesday and the last voyage of the Whales Whiskers. But until then, gather your friends together and tell a story, because that's what it's all about. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.